Welcome to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen, with your host, Ryan Lee, your number one source for all things landscape lighting. From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing, we discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
All right. Welcome to the number one landscape lighting show in the world. We are still number one. We're probably going to be number one for a while because we are growing every single day, every single week, every single month. My name is Ryan Lee. I'm your host of Lighting for Profits, presented by the one, the only Emery Allen. Go check them out at emeryallen.com if you're looking for landscape lighting lamps. I'm excited for today's show. Just chatting a few minutes ago with our guest this week, Mr. Colin Dehaan. Probably said it wrong, but I'm super excited to have him on. We're going to talk about how we met and why that's so important. He is the owner of Superior Exteriors, a roofing and gutter installation business. And you might be going, well, what the heck? I thought this was a lighting show. But honestly, you know, the landscape lighting industry, in my opinion, is still very, very young, very immature. And there's a lot of stuff that these other industries they've been around longer than us, first of all, and they're way ahead of our industry. And so although the show is Lighting for Profits, we've got a lot to learn from other people who have already experienced what we haven't. And Colin is no exception. I'm excited to introduce him. I'm excited to have him on here because he's a very talented individual, and he's willing to share too. So, you know, sometimes you meet people and they're awesome, but they don't want to share their secrets, right? And Colin has no problem with that. Really open guy, and I'm excited to have him on. So stick around. He's also a coach. He's also a business coach. So we're going to ask him about that as well. He's a Conquer coach with Automate, Grow, Sell. And I definitely want to give him an opportunity to talk about that because, listen, I'm in the coaching space. I tend to promote the coaching space, right? So if you find me annoying, then hopefully you don't find Colin annoying, and you can go sign up and he could be your coach. So between the two of us, one of us has got you, right? So I'm excited to have him on. Make sure you guys, I know we keep getting more and more subscribers, so I really, really appreciate you. I do. But not everyone subscribes. They just kind of show up or whatever. But honestly, like, make sure to subscribe, because the more subscriptions, I think there's algorithms and shit that work together. So we definitely want the algorithms to work to help promote the show, right? So make sure to do that. Here in a minute, I'm going to give you my update on my first ever live training. My first ever. Like, can you believe that people actually paid for my first ever anything? I was like, when I tell them it's my first ever training event, like, who's going to be the first person to buy? I mean, that's a lot of risk, right? So somebody took that risk. In fact, it was 25 people that took that risk. So I'm going to give you the download of exactly how the event went. But before I do, a couple of quick announcements. I've got February 24th, I'll be in Cincinnati at the Haven Training and Summit and stuff like that. Just go to their, I don't even know what their website is, so I'm a terrible host, but it's probably havenlighting.com or something like that. But go check them out. I don't know if there's spots for that, but I'm going to be there learning about the product so that I can, you know, a lot of people are always asking me for advice on stuff. I'm like, I don't know. I've never used it. So after that, I'll use it. Also, if you missed out on the first ever Landscape Lighting Live, we still do have a few spots at Lighting Accelerator. Go to lightingaccelerator.com if you are interested in growing your holiday lighting business. If you already do Christmas lights, you can't be a brand new newbie, right? It's not like how to do Christmas lights, but if you want to scale your Christmas light business and you want to get into the landscape lighting business, which is one of the ways to scale your business, then I have partnered with a couple of guys where we're going to do a training together, Jason Guyman and Donovan Questenberry. So we're going to actually be teaching you a 3-day summit, whatever you want to call it, training on lighting and how to scale your business. So lightingaccelerator.com. In fact, I got another sign up last night. So I don't know how many we've got left, but just a couple left. So if you're like on the fence, after I give you the download of what happened at Landscape Lighting Live, you're going to be like, dude, I got to go. Like, you freaking missed out. Like, before the event, I was like, yeah, you should come, whatever. Like, I really was not trying to push it hard because I'd never done it before. So I was like, I think it's going to be good. But when I give you the download and I share with you some of the experiences that happen, you're going to be like, all right, I missed out. Well, let's just do it now. Let's just break it down, unpack it. I want to give you the quick highlights of it. This was amazing. So, hey, by the way, if you are, I don't know, I'm on like YouTube right now, Facebook, some other joints, whatever. If you are not seeing your name in the comments like this, then go to StreamYard.com/Facebook, I think. Yeah, it is. And then you can put your name, then I could see who it is. But what's up, Facebook user? What's up, Wendy Rain? Thanks for being here. And all right, so let's talk about Landscape Lighting Live, my first ever in-person training event. Everything's been virtual. I've got this, coaching program I started a couple of years ago, and it's been mostly virtual. But I had an opportunity to meet up with some people. And the first, what's up, Dennis? How you doing, man? Appreciate your support and your cool videos that you've made with my stuff, man. That's killer. What's up, Mike? Had a good time hanging out with you, man. Always good to see you. So this is my first time going down there. And honestly, guys, when I got to Florida, the first day I get out and it's like sunny and warm. And I was smiling and I was like, wait a minute. I think I've been depressed. I literally had this epiphany that was like, I'm normally like a pretty optimistic, like happy person. But I realized that I was depressed the last 4 weeks of my life. It's cold in Utah. It gets dark. I'm in this like cave of an office. And I was like, man, that sucks. I've been depressed. So I came out and now I'm back. I'm better than ever, baby. I am so excited to be here. So Florida was good for me. What's up, Tom? What's up, Megan? Thanks for being here. We got Colin's #1 fan here. I have a feeling that he's got several #1 fans, but I'll definitely give that to you because I'm pretty sure you're his spouse. So, but he does have a lot of #1 fans. So sorry about that. And here's the thing. So I got to Florida. It felt great. And by the way, I got to thank like publicly. I had 2 official sponsors for Landscape Lighting Live. We had my platinum sponsor, Emery Allen, and my premium sponsor, Lighting Boss. So without those 2 sponsors, let's just say it would have been a lot more difficult. We were able to get awesome swag and t-shirts and food. Like we included food. No one had to pay for anything. It was great, right? It was just amazing. So super grateful to them. Tom was down there with Emery Allen. I mean, he basically turned into my new assistant. So maybe I won't even interview anyone. I have an interview right after this, another interview right at like 30 minutes after this. So we'll see how that goes. What's up, Ricky Meyer? Had a good time hanging out with the Meyer boys down there. It was just good. But let me just tell you real quickly before we have Colin on. This was amazing experience. I had some expectations. I thought I was going to go good, but again, I wasn't like hard selling people in because I'd never done it before. And last thing I wanted to do is like overpromise, underdeliver. So I kind of underpromised, overdelivered, and literally it was an overdeliver. Like people were coming up to me saying that was life changing, and I'm like, are you kidding me? The fact that you said that like changed my life. I want to read something. This right here is my like core values and. I don't know if you can see that a little bit. Core values and kind of my mission statement. The first, I want to just read at the beginning. It says, we believe in bettering ourselves. This is true. I wrote this a couple of years ago. We believe in bettering ourselves. And I'm not going to hire someone if they don't agree to all these things, right? We believe that by helping business owners become better at what they do, we can change the world. And I happen to know that this event changed the world. It didn't turn it upside down or anything like that, but for a handful of people, it changed the world. And it was almost scary how well it went. It was amazing. So after that, I'm like, okay, now I'm taking my own advice. I'm raising my prices. If you guys did not come, you missed out. I'm telling you, it was an experience of a lifetime. And now it's going to be hard. The reason why I say it was scary, how good it went, because now I have this bar that's been set and now I somehow have to get better and better. But I should have started the bar way lower. I should have just been like, it was a decent training. That way the next one I just do, and it's like, yeah, it was a little better. But the problem is it went really, really well. And now I got to figure out how to one-up it, So, the day one, we talked about design. We talked about installation kind of in a classroom setting. Then we went outside and we toured Greg Matthews, his office, luxury illumination. And I'm not kidding. People's minds were blown. My mind was blown at, I'm big on mindset and thinking bigger and everything else.
But when you see the type of work that Greg does, it's like, crap, I'm thinking too small myself, right? I'm sitting here trying to be the coach, telling people to think bigger. And my mindset was limited, right? So my mind expanded during this training as well. Then that day, later that afternoon, we went to his house and we did some more hands-on training with how to do connections and how to design and how to set up a demo kit. And people were blown away when we set up the demo kit. We had a ton of fixtures set up. Waited till it got really, really dark and flipped them on. And I asked everybody, I'm like, be honest, was it not as good as you thought, about as good as you thought, or way better than you thought? And everyone was like, way better than I thought. So just be able to show them what your customers can experience with lighting is phenomenal. And finally, we ended the day one. We went to one of Greg's clients, and yeah, Mike, thanks for your help at Greg's. Yeah, Mike Long, everybody, probably MVP for helping on day one. But that night, we went to one of his clients' houses, and this house, you guys, I've never had an opportunity to be on a property like this. I don't know how many acres it was, but it was big, and it was also on the beach. It was like on the intercoastal and the beach. It took up that much real estate, and it just went forever. And the house is on the market currently for $104 million. $104 million house. So if you're not thinking bigger, it's time to start thinking bigger right now. Because I'm telling you, even my mindset was limited. And I thought it wasn't, right? It expanded that day. So day one was great. Not going to lie, day two, that's when I get into my fun stuff. That's when I get into my mojo. And that's when I'm like, let's do this. And we talk about pricing, sales, marketing, business. This is my passion, right? That's when we get into the specific strategies that I use to grow my business from literally $0 in sales with no name, no brand, no nothing, to multi-seven figures in just doing landscape lighting, right? And so, I mean, I love it. I'm so passionate. I loved it so much that I forgot to give bathroom breaks. I'm not even joking. Like, people were like, hey, on your next training, you should schedule in bathroom breaks. I'm like, oh gosh, I'm such an idiot. Like, I didn't even, I'm just like, hey, if I'm passionate about it. And the thing is, this group that I had was what made the training, because, I try to take all the credit for this, that, and the other, but honestly, the people that were in the room made the training. If they weren't really like engaged and they were just there for a vacation or whatever, it would have been completely different. They were engaged. They were paying attention. They were focused. They were asking questions. They were there to learn. They were there to change their lives. And that's what made it so special for me. I mean, it was incredible. This was definitely not a vacation. This was, we were working. We started at 8 a.m. first night, got home, got back to the hotel about 9:30. So 13 hours plus. Second day, we started at 7 a.m. We were going to do 8, but they're like, hey, we want more. So we started at 7 a.m. and then finished at midnight at Greg's. So this was packing it in, right? And no potty breaks. So, but next time I got to set an alarm. So thanks for the feedback, Mike. I will say this too. Before we ended like the classroom training on day 2, I had John Van come by. John Van lives down there. He's one of my clients. He's been in my program a little over a year. And I had him come share his story. And it was, for me, it was a really impactful, incredible portion of the training. And, I got emotional just announcing John, because what he has done for his life was incredible. Like, I felt really embarrassed because I did get emotional, but I mean, I don't care because it is what it is, but I did get embarrassed because, I'm a man. I don't like to cry, especially in front of 25 people that I just met the day before. But dude, John Van, I'm telling you, he is an inspiration, what he has been able to do. And he's such a good example on how to take action. I mean, unfreaking believable. So we had him come do his thing. Then we went and had our vendor fair. We had 5 or 6 different manufacturers there so people could grill them, ask them questions, get to know products. It was amazing. Had a hibachi food truck. I won't tell you how much that cost me, but it was a lot. We had a live band. We had the Flyers there just right in front of us, playing awesome music. Tons of water. Actually, just kidding. It was not a lot of water. I drank water. Ton of tequila. Ton of hand-rolled cigars. Tons of everything. It was amazing. Like, Greg did a phenomenal job putting this party on. So, but now, because I thought it was going to be good, but it was great, now I got to figure out what to do on the next one, dang it. So I think I'm going to raise my price like $20,000 a ticket. That way we can afford to just really take it to the next level. So if you did miss out, just save some money because the next one's going to cost like 20 times more. So, yeah. All right, guys. Let me figure out how to click some buttons here. And what we're going to do is take a quick break. And then when we come back, we're going to be joined by Colin Dehaan. So make sure to stick around. We're going to do this really short break, and we'll be back to talk about culture and scaling your business. We'll be right back.
There's more to landscape lighting than just throwing a fixture under a tree. The best display is one that was not only designed well, but also stands the test of time. High-quality fixtures and bulbs are key to long-term success and customer happiness. At Emery Allen, our focus is on creating only the highest performance landscape bulbs in the industry, with long-lasting components that don't degrade or flicker with age. Each bulb's appearance is always consistent throughout your lighting project. We offer a wide range of base types, beam spreads, and color choices that will fit your needs. To learn more, give us a call at 843-480-4473 or email us at info@emeryallen.com.
Hey, this is Jeff Hester, senior contributor and co-host of the Weekend Review here on Turfs Up Radio. Can't make it to major green industry events, but want to stay connected? Don't worry, we have you covered. Be sure to download the Turfs Up Radio app or visit our website. We'll bring you the live coverage you need to keep you up to date with everything that happens in our industry. And to find out where we'll be next, simply visit greenindustryevents.com. That's greenindustryevents.com. And always remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
Hey everybody, it's Brooke Ford, host of the Green Veteran here on Turfs Up Radio. Be sure to check me out every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern. You're going to hear some great one-on-one interviews with green industry professionals. We're going to talk about best business practices, highlight innovative products, and also provide some insight into some new emerging technologies in the field. That's the Green Veteran, airing each Saturday at 11 a.m. Eastern. And remember, Turfs Up Radio, your industry, your station.
All right, welcome back to Lighting for Profits, presented by Emery Allen. We are here live on Turfs Up Radio, YouTube, Facebook. Want to welcome to the show Colin Dehaan. How you doing, buddy?
Doing great, Ryan. Stoked to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
Man, I really am super excited about this. I want to talk about how we met real quick, and before I have you introduce yourself. I met Colin when I joined the BBB. It's a mastermind for business owners, and honestly, when I joined that, I didn't really know what to expect. I know a couple people that were in there, so they said it was good. I'll go. And here's the thing. When I sat down, I walk in that room, there's tables everywhere, and I'm assigned to sit at this table. My name tag's on there. I sit down, I kind of look around, and you were one of the first persons that introduced yourself I met.
Next to each other, man. Yep.
I felt totally uncomfortable. And I knew I was in the right spot. I knew I was, because you never want to be the smartest, most advanced person in the room. And I'm like, oh crap, dude, Colin is a stud. Like, he's done all this stuff. He's doing, wait, you're working on what? And I'm like, oh man, I felt so inferior. And I'm like, yes, I'm in the right spot. So thanks for being there, man.
Thanks. Cause I think the feeling was pretty mutual there. Cause I was,
right.
I talked to my boy, Ryan Edrington, on the way. He's like, yeah, Ryan Lee's going to be there. He's pumping you all up. And I'm like, I don't really know who Ryan is yet. Like, I've seen the name, and then we sit down and I'm like, damn, this dude is smart. Holy cow. So yeah, it was awesome meeting you. So,
well, it's cool. We have one client, Ryan, I'm his coach and you're his coach.
That's right.
That's pretty awesome. Yeah, it's really, really cool. I mean, that guy takes action. He's got two coaches. Most people don't have one. So there you go.
Yep.
Well, do me a favor, introduce yourself. Tell us about you, your business, how long you've owned your own company.
Yeah, sounds good. So my name's Colin Dehaan. I'm from Ludington, Michigan, real small town. This way, here we go, up here on Lake Michigan, right? Real small tourist town, 8,000 people. So launched my business in the beginning of 2016. strictly doing seamless gutter installs. And then over the last 5 years, I've tried a little bit of everything. We've done gutters, garage doors, siding, roofing, windows, all of it. And now we are strictly just roofing and gutter.
So tell me about that experience, I guess. Like when you get started, what made you think to add on additional service in the beginning?
Yeah, well, ignorance and thinking that, oh man, I'm in this small town. Like I can't scale a gutter only company. I need to add something to it. And then I learned, well, crap, I can't scale just a gutter and garage door company. Neither one can really survive without me. So now I need to add something else. And I just kept doing this thing. And before you knew it, I was like getting pulled in every direction, needing to help on jobs and all this stuff. And it was just a nightmare. Yeah, so it was a real learning curve. And then, obviously I started learning my numbers at some point and realized, oh, well, these are the most profitable things, or these are the things that actually make me money, and this is what loses money. So,
Right.
So yeah, that's kind of how we narrowed it down to just roofing and gutter. So
Yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that and being vulnerable with it because, like no one really tells us what to do. We just start something
Right.
and then it's like, I think it's good. And it's not necessarily a failure that you went through that learning experience of like, okay, let me try adding these services. You didn't really know. I mean, maybe someone told you, but sometimes we just don't listen, right?
Right.
And so you went through that and you realize, okay, you know what? No, I gotta refocus. And the same thing happens in the lighting industry. People, I mean, I can't tell you how many times people would ask me, like, this is the best experience we've ever had. Do you guys do anything else? Like, I'm like, well, like, what do you got in mind? Like, I'm thinking, do you need me to take the trash out or like what?
Right.
And they're like, well, no, we want to do a pool, an outdoor kitchen, all this. I'm like, I was tempted. I was like, hell yeah, we can do that.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
why can't I? I'm not
Right.
going to turn down a $200,000 opportunity, but I resisted the temptation. Not I don't, it's not as good as it sounds, but there was some things that happened that helped me resist that temptation. But we were able to focus, and that's why we did so well. Too many lighting companies say the same thing that you did, where they're like, my town's not big enough, or your market they may work for you, but not here. I've got to supplement it with these other things. When in reality, if they just focus, they'd get right back to where you are now.
Exactly. Right. Yep. It's exactly that.
So when you started your business, did you just start out being like a badass entrepreneur like you are now, or like, and your employees loved you and everything about it, or like how? Tell me about that process.
Yeah, you want to know what? So one of my coaches, Josh Latimer, just recently gave me probably the best compliment anyone's ever given me, shy of like my introduction on the show. So, he's like, Colin, when I first met you, like Josh and I lived in the same small town, right? And his kid was in my youth group, and I had no idea who this dude was. And one of my buddies was like, dude, you got to listen to this podcast. Long story short, it was Josh's podcast. Anyways, invited them to our house for a 4th of July barbecue, right? And I'm just talking about business and all the stuff I know and blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, oh, yeah. I'm like, he has nothing to say. Like, I'm the smartest man in the world. And so long story short, fast forward a few years, he's my coach, one of my coaches now. And like 2 months ago, he's like, Colin, what's really changed in your life is your humility. He goes, you were never like really arrogant, but you thought you knew everything. And that's the number one mistake that I see with business owners. And I was like, holy crap. Like now that you say it, that's all I see is, you got the guys that it's like a big roller coaster, right? So year 1, you're down here. Year 2, you're way up here, right? And you're making money, hand over fist, blah, blah, blah. And then it drops and you realize, crap, I don't know anything. And then it's a really slow curve up the rest of the way. And Josh just met me at my peak, and then I dropped and now I'm starting to learn again. So that I did not know anything. I was paying guys cash. I was, all the money the business brought in was my money. I'd go out and buy trucks and flip trucks and do all sorts of crazy stuff. And it was just my money. I thought I was buying groceries with the company card, like all that stuff that most of us made those mistakes when we started off in our entrepreneur journey. Right. And it just took discipline, really, like wanting to be better and realizing like, all right, I'm not going to break through this block wall by myself. Right. Like I need some tools to do it. and finding the tools.
So what did you do to change? Because like, I'm not kidding when I say I meet you, I'm like very impressed, and it is intimidating when you meet someone that seems like they got all their shit together, because it's like you start to look inward and you're like, oh, gosh, why didn't I do that? And like, or why don't I do that now? And just all those things. And we know that you know that it's not always like that. You see this stuff on the surface and there's stuff going on, but like, I guess when did you have your epiphany, and what did you do about it?
Yeah. So we moved, right? So we moved across country from Michigan to Florida, chasing after God's heart and what his plan for us was. And so we moved, and I realized really quick, this business is going to absolutely fail without me. And so I just started like consuming as much material as I possibly could. Like that was, and my wife can attest, like I was constantly in Facebook pages, like learning different sales tips and like teaching my salesperson from across the country and like trying to make this thing happen. And that's when I started stumbling into different podcasts and whatnot. So, and then I got into to Automate, Grow, Sales, Conquer program. And that was, it was life-changing for me. So
that's awesome. Well, so, I mean, I'm the same way, you know, I was like the first one in my family to get an education, and I was like proud of that. Like, hey, like no one else had. So that was like all I had to be proud of. I didn't have any other accomplishments to hang on to. So I get my marketing degree, and then I get my MBA, and I'm like, man, I'm going to start my business. And like, I know everything. And then I realized like, crap, dude, I don't know anything.
Right.
And this is hard. Like, this sucks. Like, I have to do everything, and same thing. It just relies on me. And at some point after I got done lying to myself for, 5-6 years, I just was like, no, something's got to give. I'm either going back to corporate America and getting a job, or I'm going to change. So it's cool. It seems like almost everybody has to have that they have to be humbled, know, the sooner you can get that over with, the better.
Right. No, you're spot on. I think so too. Even second generation, I got a lot of friends that are second generation entrepreneurs, and they go through the same stuff, right? Like, even though they've grown up their entire life in it, they still have to have that huge dip and that humbling. So
when did you join as a client, a student? I don't know what they call them exactly, but as a student, when did you join the Conquer program?
When they launched it. So they launched it fall of 2018, and it started, right? So they announced it fall of 2018, and it started January of 2019. So I joined right away.
Nice.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, I didn't know. I mean, I learned about Conquer, I think it was about maybe a year and a half ago. And I didn't know anything about it. So while we're on the subject, do you want to just kind of introduce? I mean, I know now you went from being student to you're a coach now.
That's right. Yeah. It's a really humbling experience, being a coach with the likes of, the Josh Latimer, the Brandon Vaughn, Pat Clarks, Matt Clark, all those people that are coaches. It's really easy to feel inadequate. Right. I started 3 years ago. Pat Clark, I don't know if he's watching or not, but my boy, he was my coach year one, and really helped me gain some confidence in business, right? Just was a heck of an encourager. And then some things moved around, and I got Josh as my coach the next 2 years. And, about a year ago, he started, hey man, like, you interested in being a coach? Like, I think you'd be pretty good. Like, you genuinely care about people and helping them. And that's 99% of coaching, right? Like, you can tell them all you want about how to run their business, but if you don't care about them, they're not going to listen. And I was like, yeah, dude, I'd love to. Like, I've always been a better player or a better coach than a player. And I'd love to coach people. Like, that's my passion. And he gave me the opportunity. He referred me. I went through some interviews with Kedma and Brandon and all the people involved, and they promoted me to coach this year and announced it at the Conquer Summit in Clearwater last month. So
that's killer, man. Congratulations. So cool.
It's awesome, man. It's really honoring. So
how do you think your business would look now if you never joined Conquer?
Oh, hell, probably the same it did in 2017, 2018. Just me working 60, 70 hours a week to maybe scrape 80K, and being constantly hiring people, fighting with employees, losing best friends, all that stuff, because everybody hires their best friend. It's the right thing to do. It'll never go wrong.
Yeah.
So it would not be fun. So
yeah, no, I appreciate you sharing that. It's interesting because coaching should be for everyone, but most people just don't realize how often do you hear, I can't afford it? It's like,
right.
No. Like this is not an expense.
Exactly.
Coaching is an investment in yourself. And some people just aren't ready. They're just like, they're literally not ready to put in the time to work on themselves. And so they say it's expensive, but I mean, I have not been through Conquer. I know people that have been through it, and it's the same as my program in terms of return. It's like the what they're charging, they could charge 10 times and you'd still get a return.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So I think it's cool you're involved in that, not only as a student, but also as a coach now. You went through the entire process and you can share your experience with others that join. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
All right. So what we're going to do is we got to take another quick break, but stick around because when we come back, I want to ask you, last week, I actually mentioned the Dream Manager book, and then you literally just like messaged me about it. So I want to ask you about that when we come back. All right.
My passion, man. Yep.
All right. We're going to be talking about culture and some of the things that Colin has done in his business, because I know this is one of my biggest weaknesses. I suck at being a manager. So I'm excited for this next section. So stick around, guys. We'll be right back.
Are you a military family with a spouse on deployment away from home? Did you know that nonprofit Project Evergreen has thousands of volunteers across the country ready to help military families with lawn, landscape, and snow removal services? We call it Green Care and Snow Care for troops. If you are a military family and would like to receive this free service, or if you'd like to volunteer to help, visit projectevergreen.org. Project Evergreen, creating a greener, healthier, cooler Earth, 1 yard at a time.
Hey everybody, this is Hecubus from the Nightcap. I'm just sitting here relaxing within the vault with my friends and a tasty, tasty pint. You should stop by and listen in sometime. I'm here every Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern, live only on Turf's Up Radio. Your industry, your station.
Isn't it nice when the weather cooperates and crews complete jobs on time and on budget? But weather can cause delays, and with paper route sheets, jobs get lost in the shuffle. That's why you need Aspire Crew Control scheduling software, an easy-to-use, flexible, and affordable solution that allows you to shift schedules with a single click. Try Aspire Crew Control for free at aspirecrewcontrol.com.
Welcome back to Lighting for Profits. Joined here with Colin Dehaan. Doing great, man. I'm excited to have you on here. So I want to talk about the Dream Manager. I literally just read that book, and then you mentioned it, and I want to get into that. What stuck out to you about that book?
Yeah, well, just the whole concept of it. First off, like it's something that I never thought about in my business. I read it. I listened to it. 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was on a plane ride to go. This is back in my day, right? So I flew down to Oklahoma to buy a truck for the fleet and drove it home, right? One of the things I did back in the day, but listened to it and it just blew my mind. I was like, holy cow! Like I'm implementing this. I had like 7 pages of notes in my iPhone and like just going bonkers on it. And like the biggest thing was that just made my brain just feel really small was investing in people to get to their dream job, right? Like even if that's not working for you, right? And it just made me really think about how selfish I was expecting these people to work for me for the rest of their life. And it wasn't like a flip of a switch where I was like automatically great at encouraging people to be better and go find their dream job. But it got me thinking, like it got my wheels turning, like what a selfish prick I am for just expecting them to work here for the next 5 to 10, 15 years and not pursue their own dreams and just help me achieve mine. Like, that's ridiculous, Colin. No wonder you have turnover issues. Like, no wonder you can't keep technicians. Like, you don't genuinely care about them. And so, yeah, that like learning how to care about my employees has been so difficult because a lot of times, if I'm being honest, a lot of times they don't know their dreams, right? They don't know what they want to do. And so you have this meeting like, so man, like what's your 5-year goals? What are you thinking? Like, I don't know.
Exactly.
Maybe be like a lead tech. And I'm like,
that's your dream?
Yeah. Like, come on, dude. That's not your dream.
Real dream.
Right. So, it's hard, but ultimately, what really like made it click for me was reading John Maxwell's 5 Levels of Leadership and like coupling that with Dream Manager and like how to lead people. Because they're not going to open up to you about their real dreams if you're not a leader in their life, right? It's no different than, you and me meeting at the BBB, and before any words are exchanged, I'm like, hey man, so what's your 5-year goal? You're gonna be like, who the heck are you, dude? Like, maybe the BBB is a bad example because we are, that's something that kind of happens, but just an average Joe on the street. So learning how to care about them and like getting to that point and leading them. Before we took a break, you said, I'm a horrible manager. And like I might say like, hey dude, change that mindset to like not be manager, but be a leader. And like, I know it seems so cliche and something that, is thrown around. No, we want leaders in business, not managers. But it really, like, when you embody it, it really does make a difference in how your employees react to you and how much you do it. So
I love that. Well, I was the same way. I remember just like, again, you look back and you're like, I can't believe that was me, and we're going to look back at ourselves now and go, I can't believe that was me.
Right.
So there's always that progression. But I'm like, man, I just expected everyone to be on board with my goal, my dream. And yeah, you read that book and it's like, oh my gosh, dude, like what was I thinking?
Exactly.
And like you said, it's okay if their dream is just to work for you for a couple of years and then that gets them into the next spot. The more you could support that, the better it's going to be. So is there any specific examples you could share with our listeners of some things that you've actually implemented and worked in your business to build a better culture?
Yeah, absolutely. So one thing we say straight up in the interview is like, we care more about your personal goals than your goals within this company. We know that there is a ceiling for some people in this company. The sky really is the limit, but we know that this isn't everybody's passion, right? So we tell them straight up, we would rather 100% for 9 months of your time than 50% for 5 years. Like, we want to invest in you. We will help you reach your goals. So I've got one employee, when she started working for me, she just graduated with an associate's in accounting, had no experience in it other than 2 years of college or whatever, but loved it and couldn't get a job anywhere in town because she had no experience, right, in accounting, that is. So I was like, hey, you know what? I'll teach you. Like, I'll teach you how to keep our books, and we'll grow this up for you, and then you can go and start doing accounting full time. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, like, if I get 2 years out of you, I'll be really happy. Just, don't leave me hanging. Maybe do my books on the side or something, And she's like, yeah, absolutely. So we've done that. And like, I've set her up with job interviews, right? And it works. Like, it keeps her intrigued, right? And she's not checking out. She's not phoning it in. It is just straight up like, he cares about what happens to my life or what happens in my life, and I'm going to help him achieve his goals. So it works really well. We've helped employees buy vehicles, buy houses, literally just like spoon feeding them to the mortgage broker, like, hey, this is their goal. They want to buy this house. This is the path they're on financially. Let's figure out how to get their credit where it needs to be and let's go, and it's just, and then everybody sees it happen, and it just spreads like wildfire. So
have you had any experiences where, like you said, like if their goal is to just be there for 2 years and then move on, that's fine. But have you had those experiences where you helped them buy their first car, you helped them buy a house, you help them obtain whatever their dream is, and it results in them actually changing their dream to be maybe part of your team, and now you see a role for them, maybe expanded in your company?
Yeah, what I've noticed is, how do I put this into words? Not necessarily like changing their dream. I got one. Okay, yeah, I got one right now. The guy started working here. He's like, hey man, like, I'm willing to come in at entry level. He does roofing for us, like straight up on the roof, physically doing the labor. And the dude's smart as a whip. And he's like, I want in. I'll start at entry level. Word around town is that if I want to get where I'm going, you'll help me get there. And I want in, and I'll do whatever it takes. All right, cool, dude. You're in. And so we sit down and we're going over like what his 5-year dream is, and how to get there. And he's like, yeah, I want to own 10 rental properties in the next 5 years. That's awesome, dude. What are you doing to be there right now? He's like, reading books. I'm like, hey, that's a start, dude. Like, that's a start. How's your credit? Right? We start talking about it. Well, I just last Friday announced to my team that we're going to be merging with another company, and it's going to essentially 10x our company, right? And he came to me, and it was an awesome meeting. I was nervous as heck going into the meeting, because that could be taken one of two ways, right? Like, oh, screw you, Colin. Like, you're just going and making more money, blah blah blah. Or it can be taken how it was, and everybody was just like amped, and there was a whole new energy in the building. And that's how it was. So he comes like running into my office after the meeting. He's like, dude, I want a location here, 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 here. Like, let's go. I'm ready. And I'm like, you're not ready. Let's get you ready. And then we'll do that. Like, I'm all about that. I'm like, but what about your 10 rental houses? He goes, I'll be making so much money. I'll have way more than that. All right. Fair enough, dude. Like,
that's crazy.
Right. So it did, like, it changed a little bit, and it's really cool. So,
because that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that. Because as I was reading that, I have not implemented. I literally just read the book. I'm hiring my first, executive assistant right now, but I'm going to do that. I've got an interview right after this. I'm going to be asking those questions and asking what her dream is and all this. But I thought, you know what, I could see this changing people's dreams. And as they stay there longer and you're not dealing with turnover, your company grows, you might have a position open up that you didn't even plan on yourself.
Exactly.
So your dream changes, their dream. So it's such a fascinating concept. So I'm excited to see how you continue to implement it in your business. I want to talk about, switch gears for a moment. I'm addicted to sales. I know you love sales.
Right.
I'm sure you've heard it before, like sales is the most important part of your business, because if you don't have sales, then you don't have a business. But then, the operation minded people are like, well, yeah, but if you don't have anyone to, take care of the actual work, then, you don't have a business. So there's always that debate, but we all know that sales is most important.
Yeah.
But seriously, why is working on your business to make sure that operations are tightened up so important?
Yeah. It's I briefly mentioned that we're merging with this other company, and we're merging, and both of us have like the same pitfalls. I guess we'll call them pitfalls, the same holes in our business, and it's all operational. Like, both of us have great sales systems. Both of us have great follow-ups. Like, both of us have, good review systems, all that, right? Like, our admin is strong, but both of us have issues in operationals. And we're like, dude, like, nobody ever talks about this. Like, why is that a thing? Everybody talks about sales, right? You go to every conference and it's all about selling, and nobody talks about the back end and the operational side of it. And I think I'm being honest, right? And I think if everybody is honest, like, unless you're an owner operator, the operational side of the business usually is the most lacking part of your company. And how to focus on that, like why it's so important is it. So in your business, okay, or we'll go in my business because I know it better. I don't know enough about landscape lighting yet. I think it's like the next thing. It's the gold mine. It's epoxy floors on steroids. But I think that, shoot, I lost track of where I was.
Well, talk about your business and focusing on operations.
There it is.
Working on your business,
Right. So in my business, we sell a roof, right? And it's 2 to 3 weeks until we get that roof put on, right? Until it's built out. With that time frame, like 2 to 3 weeks is a long time, right? With our average ticket of $20,000, so we get a third down. The customer just gave us $7,000, and if we have horrible follow through, like automation through, like, hey, your material's ordered, hey, your crew is scheduled, your dumpster's scheduled, the porta potty is going to be delivered this day. Like, if we're not constantly in contact with the customer, they start freaking out. Right. Over the span of 2 or 3 weeks, they're like, hey, I just gave you $7,000. I haven't heard anything in a week. What's going on? Right. It becomes a huge problem. And then they're on pins and needles. And then when you actually show up, they're more apt to, like, pick through, making sure like you're dotting your I's, crossing your T's. Right. And you lose all the professionalism that you just built on the front end with sales. And so losing that in the operational side is a huge downfall of every company. And not every company, but a lot of companies. Yeah. Right?
Probably every, actually.
You're probably not wrong, but so that's like one of my big focuses this next year, especially in this merger, is figuring that out from close of sale to, sorry, I'm all backwards here, from close of sale to the actual build of the roof and the start of the project, like keeping that gap seeming really small. So,
is there any, I guess, specific examples you can share with us that you've either done and implemented and like it's proven, or at least that you're planning on trying?
Yeah. So one thing that it was implemented, but the follow through on it was poor. And we started doing it here again towards the end of our season. Again, we're Michigan, so we're pretty slow right now. It's single digits and whatnot. But well, our CRM allows us, it's literally like a click of a button, like boom, your dumpster is ordered, and it will automatically text and email the client. Nice. And it just broke down to like our project managers not doing that, and them calling it in while they're in their truck and not doing it on the app or whatever, right? So they're not doing it in the CRM. Cool. So just putting the operation managers like tracker on and making sure that project managers doing all these things was huge. It's significantly knocked down our miscommunications with clients. Like they know what's coming, and we can have the dumpster there a day or two early. It's not a huge deal, right? If we get delayed because of rain, they're going to understand, right? Same with the porta potty, because we don't want our guys using the homeowner's bathroom or
their front lawn.
Yeah, exactly. So, material, whatnot, that's easy enough to just like push to when the job starts. But yeah, having those things happen and the customer knowing about it has been really pivotal, and just keep maintaining that relationship. And we get a lot less phone calls now of like, hey, I gave you $7,000 and I haven't heard from anybody in a week.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, I mean, it's amazing what just simple checklists and procedures and like, hey, when you're done this, then do this.
Right.
That solves a lot of those problems. And then now we've got technology, which I'm behind the times on that, but the technology with automation and stuff like that, it's just incredible. So part of my job here is bringing in some of those people that run those technologies and like, hey, share them with people, because it's incredible what a click of a button can do for you now.
Yeah. Right.
Well, man, I want, before we wrap up, I mean, this show is like the fastest show ever, but I want to have you just share any final advice, any words of wisdom you want to share with our listeners today.
Yeah. You know what? I brought a little bit of a list, and we'll touch on just a couple of things, right? Before you brought me on, you were talking about your self-limiting belief of like your expectations of your landscape lighting live, right? And like I had my mind completely blown a couple of weeks ago, and I was talking or listening to James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy. Have you read his book?
No.
You should definitely check it out. It will completely change your mindset. But I caught myself like in this bubble of this is all that I can really do is have this $3 million business in Ludington that will go up to like 6, but that's about it. And so I'm listening to him speak up on stage, and I'm like, holy cow, dude, this guy did 50 Ironmen in 50 days in 50 states, like back to back to back, like doing a complete Ironman on 2 hours of sleep with a busted up shoulder. So he's swimming one-handed and stuff, like crazy. But his whole thing was like, your body is capable of so much more than your mind thinks it is. And so he finishes up. And then I listened to Brandon Vaughn speak on acquisitions and mergers, and my wheels just start. And before you know it, it's like I'm a hamster, just can't stop. And it turned into me approaching someone that I've known for 3 years and saying, hey, man, like we both do the exact same thing. We both have different skill sets, and we're just like fighting the same battle. Why don't we team up and conquer and build a roofing and gutter company to $1 billion in the next 5 years? Like we can do this. And he's like, you're nuts, dude, but I'm on with it. Like I'm in, like, let's do it. So that was 3 weeks ago. That conversation
that's awesome, man.
And like today we like finalized all of our agreements, and it's like, all right, Mr. Lawyer, write it up legally. Let's go. And so we're gonna 10x this year. Actually, both of our companies will pretty much 10x this year by merging and launching one more location, simply by just like getting out of my own way, right? Believing that there's more and that I'm capable of more. Self-limiting beliefs are like the killer of everything, whether it's your diet or, you're exercising. I was at the gym yesterday. I was like, I'm going to ride the bike for 10 minutes. And I'm like, no, like James Lawrence wouldn't approve of this. I'm going longer than
yes.
That. And I just kept going, right? And just kept going. And like, my legs are on fire at minute 2. And I'm like, nope, I'm still doing it. I'm going to do it. And just keep going and keep going and keep going. Like just wanted to see how far I could push myself mentally before I broke. And I had to go because I had to get home for dinner. But yeah,
that's incredible, man. I mean, seriously, congratulations to you and your success, not only in the business world, but now as a coach, and you got this big merger. So seriously awesome, man. Congratulations to you.
Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate it, man.
Hey, man, thanks for joining me. And I'm going to just I got to do a quick break, and I'm going to close the show, you guys, with my lighting tip of the week. And it actually has to do with what Colin was talking about. So thanks again for being here, brother. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we'll be right back.
Attention all pros. When you leave a deal with your clients, don't leave money on the table. Join Turfs Up Nation today and partner with pros all across the country who can help you make more money for your services that are related to your project. Landscapers need plumbers, and pool installers need hardscapers, and every combination in between. Turfs Up Nation is free. Your information is secure, and you'll be connected with other pros in the industry who want to do business with you. And not to mention property owners who need help with everything. If you think your clients don't need you and the connections you have, think again. Join turfsupnation.com today and start putting more money in your pocket for services you never knew you could. Just remember to sign up for this free service. Go to turfsupnation.com.
Are you tired of working dawn to dusk 7 days a week and still struggling? Working hard isn't your issue. What you need to focus on is the business side of your business. That's where Profits Unlimited comes in. With our 42 years of experience in the industry, we have faced the challenges you are going through. We can help you with bidding, contracts, marketing, selling, and much more. Check us out at profitsrus.com. That's profitsareus.com when you are ready to earn what you deserve. And don't forget, tune into Profit Time at 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Remember, profit is not a dirty word.
was awesome. Thank you to Colin Dehaan for helping us out, sharing some of his wisdom. The show always goes too quick. I'm going to start doing like a 10-hour show. Before we wrap up, I just want to share my lighting tip of the week. And it was cool because it actually has to do with what Colin was talking about. He's talking about his merger, and literally he just like was inspired not too long ago to like take action on this thing, right? And he ends up just doing it. Now, so hold on to that thought for a minute. My wife's family is very conservative. I mean, they don't take a lot of risk at all. And when I started my business and I told her family that we were moving to Texas to start a landscape lighting business, they looked very scared. I'm talking extremely scared. Like, what are you doing with our daughter? Please go away. But they were scared. And, you know, the old adage, failing to plan is planning to fail. Well, that is true, but not always true like you think. It's not always true. And so you take Colin, for example, like he could sit here and plan this merger for the next 2 years. Like, you know, I should do this, whatever, and then take action. But by then the world has changed and all this stuff can happen. And instead it's kind of like ready, fire, aim, right? And I know, I mean, that may not be what they teach in Conquer, but for me, I'm a ready, fire, aim kind of guy, right? And so I want to show how those 7 words, failing to plan is planning to fail, can also be the 7 words that might hold us all back, right? And so, I mean, take a look at like my example of Collins. You know, he's starting he could have held him back for years trying to do this merger. When I started my lighting business, I would have never started my business. I would have never gotten to the level I'm at now because I would have planned too much. I would have researched my competition and been like, oh, dang, there's too many lighting companies already. Oh man, these guys have been around 20 years. I can't compete with them, right? Selling my business, I would have been like, well, you know, what am I going to do after? Like people would ask me, what do you do after? I don't know. I did not have the plan, but I knew this is what I wanted to do. And I figured it out as I went along the way. Starting Landscape Lighting Secrets, I never would have started it if I would have sit there and plan. Because seriously, I mean, it just would have been too overwhelming. Like I've never been a business coach. I've never had this coaching program. Like, how do I do that? What do I do? Right. So I could have just waited and studied and tried to figure out all this stuff. Instead, I just started. Landscape Lighting Live, I just had my event. I would have never done that either. I mean, I could have said it would have taken me 3 years to plan this thing. Like that's what I wanted to do. Like I wanted to sit here and plan this and make sure it was perfect. And I had the perfect agenda and this and that and the other. But honestly, I just took action, right? And now I know I can do better next time. Like it wasn't perfect. But you know what's cool is the people that were there, they got a tremendous amount of value. And if I would have held myself back by planning and doing all this other stuff, you know, searching for perfection, then I wouldn't have been able to add value to their lives, right? So my message, my lighting tip of the week is progress, not perfection. And that's what this is about. You know, make sure you're moving forward, make sure you're making progress, but don't worry too much about being perfect because even Colin's story, it's not perfect. Like he did a lot of shit wrong and now he knows what not to do. And he's doing all these things right. On the outside surface, like when I met him, I was like, gosh, this guy is perfect. Like, I don't know, can I keep up, you know? But it's not always like that. So, you know, we talk about all these different things on the show and we have different guests. And on the outside, you might think, oh, I can't do that because they're already at this level or whatever. But that's just not how it works. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we're dealing with inside and behind the scenes that you don't necessarily want to expose. You know, it's easier and better, I think, to talk more about the scar than the actual wound. You know, when you have an open wound, maybe it's not the best to talk about it, but the scar, you can talk about it. And that's what I'm trying to do is help you guys learn from my scars, right? And you're not going to be successful if you're not willing to take risks. I mean, you look at Colin, like he's taken a big risk, and that's why he's not the reason, but that's one of the reasons why he's successful, right? And so you've got to be willing to take risks, and risk is basically jumping in without having all the answers. It's not going to be perfect when you take your first step forward. And so, you know, it's okay to plan. I'm not saying don't plan. You don't take this the wrong way, right? But you also have to be willing to adapt. And when you start on your path toward your 6 month, 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year goal, you start right here, right? And as you progress, you're going to be transformed. You know, tomorrow I'm going to be a different individual than today because I just talked to Colin and I'm absorbing the things that I learned from him. And so
now my trajectory is different. And my 3-year plan is going to be different than what it was, because now I have to be able to adapt and change and go, wait, I wasn't thinking big enough. I was only here. Now I can be here. So planning is great, but you're never going to have this perfect plan. And if you're waiting for the perfect plan, you might want to ask yourself the question, what are you doing? That might be one of the reasons why you're not as successful or as far along as you wish you were, right? And so just understand, with the more knowledge you get, experience, and different perspective that you get, you're going to be different than you were before. And so this landscape lighting live that I just did, again, I can't emphasize this enough. Like, if I would have waited, then it wouldn't have been that much better anyway, because I just would have never done it. Right. So now I have this experience, and I have some things that I should have done differently. I could have done better, whatever. I take those and I'm going to put those into the next one. So just remember, one of the main difference between those that are successful and those that aren't is risk. So you either start now or you don't. Guys, I want to encourage you to keep moving forward every single day, every single week, every single month. And I can't emphasize how much I appreciate you. I want to thank again Colin Dehaan for being on the show, and really appreciate all your guys' support. So we're going to wrap this up. Hope you have a great week, and we'll see y'all next Tuesday at 5 here on Turfs Up Radio.